Morning, baby. Okay, guys, I have a confession. My car has a misfire and it's not running right. And actually, one of you guys was the one to call me out on it. Back when I made the exhaust video, one of you guys commented, "Yo, dude, your car has a misfire." And I was like, nah, it's fine, because I thought I tracked down the issue earlier, but still has a slight misfire. So I'm gonna be fixing that today. I got a bunch of parts, all this stuff, as well as some other stuff, and it's just gonna be kind of like an engine work day type deal. But first, I gotta figure out a camera angle to film this. Nice. Okay, the first thing we're gonna do is change out these coil packs and plugs for these. Next thing I'm gonna go ahead and do is I'm gonna start removing all of these lines here and all this vacuum line and the intake, and then we're gonna replace all those parts and just kind of make it look a little bit nicer. Okay, I had to stop and tell you guys about probably one of the dumbest things I've done to my car. So this turbo kit is a CX Racing turbo kit. It bolts up amazing. It came with the manifold, the intake piping, the blow-off valve, the intercooler. Came with literally everything, and I haven't had a single problem with it. But when I first got the car, someone told me that I wouldn't be able to run this turbo without a boost controller. And they told me to pick up this cheap, crappy one off of eBay. And this thing was actually the biggest pile of junk ever. It literally just steals vacuum from that, and my wastegate won't even open now, even with it on the lowest setting. So I'm gonna pull this whole thing out and just put a new piece of vacuum line right there. Wow, so much better. All right, so the next thing I'm gonna do is this intake here is starting to crack and it's getting old. And my turbo, because it is a bigger like inlet diameter, I had to put like this adapter thing on, which was temporary. It's ugly and it sucks and it's restrictive. But for that reason, I went ahead and I picked up this. It's pretty much the exact same piece, just a lot thicker, more stable, can handle a little more boost. And I was told when I emailed them that this was a bigger diameter, so it was compatible with this turbo. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna switch over this to this, and all the plugs and stuff like that, and we'll put it on. Well, that was a very tight fit, but it did fit up. So I think we're good to start reassembling everything. Okay, I got everything buttoned up the way it should be. Everything ran nicely, all the lines are good. But I'm gonna start up the car and hope that the misfire's gone. Well, unfortunately, I still have a little bit of a miss, but I have a plan B. I'm gonna try changing out the igniter with this one I bought used off of someone, and we're gonna see if it makes a difference. Well, that that didn't work either. Okay, I figured it out. I literally just redid everything. Like I redid the plugs, the wires, the CPS, the timing, the TPS, the igniter. I touched everything except for the fueling side. And that's because I had just put new injectors in here and I thought the injectors were good. But when I went through, I started unplugging them one by one. My fifth injector actually isn't firing correctly. So it is my injectors. So what I'll probably end up doing is I'll pull everything back off and then go back in there and replace that one single injector. Lucky for me though, I do have an extra box of stock injectors as well as a rebuild kit for them. So I'm gonna set you guys up, back up there, and I'm just gonna go to town. That was definitely way more work than I expected, but I did get it in. I turned the key over to make sure it's not leaking, and it's time to start it up. Let's see if this thing works. There is still one more thing that I would like to change about this right now, and that would be this overflow tank, if you can even call it that. This is just a Peace Tea can. I didn't have an overflow tank, and so I just bolted it up. And you guys can see how it worked out. It's all crumpled up, ugly, and even the top doesn't fit on right. So I picked up this replacement, and we're gonna go ahead and replace it. And just like that, guys, I think we're done for today. I got everything put on nicely. These hoses came out great. It looks fantastic, but there's still a lot more work to do on this engine bay. So I decided to test the injector plugs themselves to see if they were sending any signal at all to the injectors. And just as I expected, injector 5 as well as injector 2 weren't sending anything at all. So I traced it back to the ECU and decided to test the outputs from there while the car was running. And just as I expected, I got 0 voltage. I think I need a new ECU, unfortunately. Okay guys, it is now the next day. I'm in the old Cummins towing a trailer for work, but that's besides the point. So yesterday I put in one of the Facebook groups I'm a part of that I was in search of an ECU for my Supra, because as you guys saw, I need a new ECU, unfortunately. But someone in the group actually messaged me, and he ends up living about an hour from where I'm keeping the Supra right now, and he said that I could stop by, pick up his ECU, plug it in, double check it, make sure it's actually the ECU. That way I don't have to buy one, plug it in, and then realize it doesn't even fix the problem. So I'm on my way right now. We're gonna go pick it up, plug it in, and see if it fixes it. Shout out Chris Donahue, legend of a dude. He's got a sweet car. I really appreciate you lending this to me. Let's see if this works. New ECU's in. Let's see what happens. It is now a few days later, and I just spent the last couple days trying to figure out what's wrong with my car. I hopped on with some phone calls with some really well-known Supra guys, and I'm just going to run you through what we figured out and kind of what is going on with my car. We left off with me trying to start my car, and as you guys can expect, it still didn't work. So after that, we came to the CPS because we figured if it wasn't sending out signal, it probably wasn't retrieving signal. So we went through the CPS, checked everything, checked all the wiring, and everything's good. And it's sending signal to the ECU. So then we started thinking it was just a wiring issue in general. And that's where we found something really interesting. So if you look at my plugs, according to the wiring diagram, the 5th and the 3rd injector should be hooked up. But when we actually traced the wires, the 2nd and the 5th injector were hooked up. And they were the wrong color wires, which made us assume that this engine harness was previously tampered with and rewired. So then we started digging into this big loom up here as well as the dash underneath, and pretty much what we found was just a bunch of spliced wires and just a mess of everything. So what you guys can expect from me for the next couple videos is probably just me pulling the whole wiring harness out and completely rebuilding it. It's definitely a little bit out of my comfort zone and something I haven't attempted before, but I haven't given up on this car yet, and I still got a lot of big plans for this. That's going to be it for today's video, guys. I know the video was kind of all over the place, but I'm glad we finally got to the bottom of what's wrong with this car. Please like and subscribe. This is definitely going to be pretty expensive and not exactly something I planned out for my budget. So any support from you guys would be fantastic. Until next time, guys.